years in the making. When exactly did Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer become aware of the allegations of domestic violence involving his assistant coach Zach Smith, and what did he do with whatever information he had? Wednesday, the school revealed its findings and disciplined those involved.
No question about it, Michael. That punishment includes a 3-game suspension for head coach Urban Meyer, as well as a 17-day suspension beginning at the end of this month for his boss, athletic director Gene Smith. When Meyer was asked if his discipline was deserved, he said this.
Feel that you should have been suspended? Are you upset with the ultimate decision?
I trust and support our president.
Now, there were only 3 outcomes for Urban Meyer: full reinstatement, suspension followed by reinstatement, or a full firing. This final decision was made by University President Michael V. Drake after meeting with the school's Board of Trustees, who made their recommendation based on an investigation led by Mary Jo White, who laid out what she and her team discovered and decided.
First, Coach Meyer was in fact aware of the 2015 law enforcement investigation into allegations of domestic violence by Zach Smith. He was informed of that investigation by Athletic Director Gene Smith in the fall of 2015, and both Coach Meyer and Athletic Director Gene Smith regularly monitored the progress of that investigation for a period of months, although the investigation did not ultimately result in any charges or an arrest. Second, Coach Meyer and AD Gene Smith, although acting in good faith, did not report the investigation of Zach Smith for domestic violence in 2015 to compliance as we believe they should have. Although law enforcement had not brought charges at the time that Coach Meyer and AD Smith became aware of the investigation, the compliance function would have been in the best position to assess whether to conduct an internal investigation into the allegations had they known about them. In the domestic violence context especially, there are many cases in which abuse takes place, but there is no arrest or criminal prosecution. And so simply relying on law enforcement to take action in the face of such allegations is not, in our view, an adequate response. Third, despite Coach Meyer's clear awareness and monitoring in 2015 of the law enforcement investigation of Zach Smith for domestic violence, we ultimately did not conclude that Coach Meyer deliberately lied during his comments at Big Ten Media Days on July 24th, 2018. He has consistently maintained that he did not recall in July 2018 what he knew in 2015 regarding the domestic violence investigation of Zach Smith by law enforcement. Fourth, Coach Meyer impressed us with his sincere commitment to the respect for women core value that he espouses and tries to instill in his players. Fifth, the independent investigation also identified and reported on a number of instances of misconduct and other problematic conduct by Zach Smith while he was employed at OSU as an assistant coach, some of which was known to Coach Meyer and AD Smith, and some of which was not.
Now here's a summation of what Ms. White just said, that Urban was aware of the 2015 law enforcement investigation, that Urban and his boss, Gene Smith, did not report the investigation to compliance. The report did not conclude Meyer deliberately lied at Big Ten Media Days, though it did say Meyer impressed us with his sincere commitment to the respect for women core value, and also said of Zach Smith there were, quote, a number of instances of misconduct and other problematic conduct.
Prior to Wednesday evening, the last time we heard from Urban Meyer was 2 days after the school placed him on administrative leave as it started to conduct a full investigation. Through a statement released on August 3rd, Meyer stated that he was confident he took appropriate action in regards to Zach Smith and added that truth is the ultimate power. Following the announcement of his 3-game suspension, Meyer apologized for his actions and inactions that contributed to this entire ordeal.
I know that the impact that the events the last 3 weeks have had on this institution, an institution that I love, and how challenging this has been for our community, our president, a man who I have great respect for, and for that I'm deeply sorry. I'm fully aware that I'm ultimately responsible for the situation that has harmed the university as a whole and our Department of Athletics and our football program. I want to apologize to Buckeye Nation. I followed my heart, not my head. I fell short in pursuing full information because at each juncture, I gave Zach Smith the benefit of the doubt. As I reflect my loyalty to his grandfather, Earl Bruce, who was my mentor and like a father to me, likely impacted how I treated Zach over the years. I did not know everything about Zach Smith, which was what Zach Smith was doing, and I'm pleased that the report made this very clear. However, I should have demanded more from him and recognized red flags. I needed to show more care and concern for the entirety of the situation and the people involved. I should have been more demanding of him in the same way I am of my players, other staff members, and myself. I should have done more, and I am sorry for that. I did a poor job at Media Day. It's a big reason why we're here today. I was not being as complete, as accurate as I should have been at Media Day and afterward, but there was no intent to mislead. My role is to set a good example. In this instant, I did not live up to the university's standards. The suspensions are tough, but I fully accept them. I wish I could go back and make the different decisions, but I can't. These difficult lessons are a constant reminder of the duties and obligations that I have as a member of this university and this community. I take full responsibility I take this responsibility very seriously, and I will do better.
As it relates to Meyer's 3-game suspension, it's worth pointing out that Meyer is barred from all team activities through the Oregon State game on September 1st. But starting on September 3rd, Meyer will be allowed to conduct practices leading up to the Rutgers and TCU games, although he will not be allowed to coach or attend those games. And speaking of the Buckeyes' schedule, before that suspension was announced, Ohio State overwhelming favorites to win each of their first 3 games. According to ESPN's Football Power Index, Ohio State has a 99% chance to defeat Oregon State, 96% chance to knock off Rutgers, and an 81% chance to beat 16th-ranked TCU.
Now, we're going to hear plenty of opinion and perspective on this here over the next hour on SportsCenter. We're joined first by Reese Davis, the host of ESPN's College Game Day. So, what do you make of the decision, a 3-game suspension?
I think it's a half measure. I don't think it accomplishes much. Either Urban Meyer's conduct rose to the level of dismissing him or it didn't. And I don't think that this advances the cause really in any meaningful way. I think there was an opportunity for Ohio State and for Urban to take the lead on this and perhaps do something that could impact others who suffer from domestic violence type situations. And instead, I thought they took a measure that, at least to me, appeared to be designed to appease those who wanted punitive measures against someone other than Zach Smith.
Indeed, a compromise at its very core. Last thing for you, Kirk Herbstreit said earlier tonight on SportsCenter that Meyer's legacy would be established from what he does from this point forward. But looking at it right now, from where he stands, with everything he's accomplished and what he's dealing with now, how do you see him?
I don't agree with that. Certainly that will be part of it, and he can mitigate some of the criticism that will come from the incidents that have happened in his career, both at Ford and Ohio State, and it will be mitigated potentially depending on what happens from this point forward. But things of this magnitude stick with you, and it is part of the legacy right now. My hope is, because I know and respect Urban Meyer, my hope is that he does do things that mitigate that and make that something that when we look back on his career, we say that was an unfortunate moment for Ohio State and the way he handled that, but he grew from it, learned from it, and changed from it, and that's my hope for him.
He did say during the press conference at one point, quote, "I will do better. For some, that will suffice. For some, it will never be enough." Reese, thank you.
You bet, Steve.